I saw you from the start of your business when you were posting like your stories every day on Instagram, when you were marketing over there, like working at like 3:43 a.m. and 4 a.m. And most people would be mortified. And people probably were like, ooh, I'm not recreating that hustle culture, or like Kendra's not my girl because of that. But to a lot of people, it was just real. And you're like, no, this is when it fits into my life and my business and what I'm growing. But I knew I would see this and I'm like, she's up at 4 a.m. working, or that timestamp was 3:43, and she's serving 5, 10 clients and looking for new ones and joining boards and joining like all of the stuff that you're doing and taking care of kids and getting them to games and sports and fostering these relationships. And it's just like, how in the world? Hey, I'm Steph Rubio, your go-to for no-nonsense chit-chat on growing a business and life that you actually love. Around here, we're rooted in who we are, even if we're still learning to love her, getting clear on where we want to go, and we're relentless in our pursuit to get there. We get into the nitty-gritty of growth in life and in business, money, identity, boundaries, healing, leadership, parenting, partners, and all the messy bits in between. If you're ready to grow on your own terms, laugh a lot, possibly cry a little, maybe laugh until we cry if we're lucky, then hit subscribe and let's get into it. This is Rooted and Relentless. Grab your notepad and hold on to your tits. This one's for you. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rooted and Relentless. I always say, oh, this is an extra special episode, but it is really, truly, because it's not only me you have to listen to today. And this guest, I don't think I could be more excited about, because it feels weird to even call her a guest. Everyone say, what's up to Kendra Harris? Hey. Thanks for coming to hang with me.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to get into some backstory. We definitely got to tell people like how we met, how you ended up here. So they're like, why are you so nuts? But let me tell people like the real power and what you have going on these days, or at least how we introduce ourselves when people really ask. So Kendra Harris is a business doctor of organization who supports high performing, overwhelmed business owners as an online business manager, streamlining operations and optimizing back end systems. You know that I'm a systems gal if you're listening to this, so we're about to nerd out. But Kendra does this so that they can reclaim their time, reduce stress, and accelerate growth, which is what we all want. Time, energy, more money. I'll take it. And that's what Kendra's helping people do. She's also a family travel creator, and he uses her experience traveling with 5 kids to share unique sports experiences, trips, and memory making ideas you didn't even realize are out there, so you can make the most of the time you have with your kids without overspending or adding stress to your plate over all of the details. And she's a lifelong Tennessee Volunteers fan, which I'll allow this time because we're not
Thank
playing this
you.
week.
Thank you. Thank you.
And because she's true and she's an avid fan. She's always wearing Volunteers. She's always going to the game. So we'll allow it until we play each other. Andrea, I'm pumped to have this conversation with you. Before I tell people what we're really about to talk about, why don't you tell us in your own words? I mean, I made it sound cute and fancy, but what are you up to lately, or what are you excited about?
Girl, I'm excited about just like all of the things that I get to do. Like, seriously, I know it sounds kind of corny, but I was a teacher for 15 years. Okay. I came into this online space and like didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I knew that I had some really good qualities that I could share with people. And, I started as a virtual assistant, met you online in that way. And just like all the different things that I'm getting to do. Like today, I have this podcast, and then here in a little bit, I'm going to go present to a group of medical providers in Nashville and share with them about the online space and how virtual assistants and online business managers can support their practices. So just like all of the freaking cool things I get to do and the people I've met, that's what I'm pumped about. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to
Well,
be
you
here.
should be. You should be. I mean, it's a testament to like you and your grit and your determination, which is going to come through in this conversation today. But it's also just like the intention and the effort consistently for years now. I think like things are finding their way to you. Speaking of, I haven't told you this. We were chatting about Power Table Live because I was there. By the time this airs, it'll be a couple weeks. But someone came up and was talking to me and was like, I've worked with Kendra. And I was like, oh, Kendra Harris at this event talking to me about my services and stuff like that. I need
Whoa,
to talk to
no
you.
way.
And I was like, listen, I think she's worked with you in
Oh
coaching
yeah.
capacity like a couple times, right? Yeah. We were talking and I was like, listen. And I was like, Kendra's like a real life friend. Like I have a pic. I couldn't find it. Like I didn't pull up my phone, but I was like, I've met her. So I mean, like not only were we business friends online, but we've met each other in real life. So we're actually real life friends now. Um, what a freaking small world.
It is a small world. And yeah, she's someone I met when, when I started my business. Then she found me online and we kind of connected and I helped her through some stuff. So yeah, it's cool how we can all support each other. And even if we're at different, places in our business, that's what I tell people all the time too. Like you don't need to compare yourself. Like sure, learn from other people and things, but do your own thing. And there's where my travel creator side came in that you were just talking about, that people are like, wait, she's what? But that's just a little bit more of me, doing my own thing and having fun with it.
Yeah, and leaning into that, I think like for the first while starting your business, it was like, okay, we can back it up. We can get there, right? So yeah, me and Kendra met in the online space and we met last year for the first time in real person because she drove all the way from Tennessee to Panama City Beach, which is about 2.5 hours for me. And I was like, yeah, we're getting in the car and we're making that drive. So we got to meet each other. Our kids who send each other voice notes and like videos on Instagram got to meet and they're the same age. So it was just a really cool experience. But you were a VA still teaching at the time. And we did a session together and you ended up quitting your teaching job like right before the cusp, right? Of like hitting that mark you wanted. There was a bit of I call it the I believe button that we have to push. And it's typically ourselves. It's like scary. That's secure. You know that that job's going to be there. And all. It was like right up to August, right? You were supposed to step into said teaching
Yeah.
job and it was like scary.
Yeah, it was, I wanted to give them a notice, but at the same time, like you said, so when I started my virtual assisting business, it was actually in the springtime, which is a great time for teachers to start a business because then they're going to be out of school for the summer. So my business grew so freaking quick that I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to have to teach another year and maybe do this part time, but here we are, and I've almost replaced my income, which wasn't a ton as a teacher, but I just started this business a few months ago, and oh my gosh, I've almost replaced my teaching income. Like, what the heck do I do now? So it was never a question when I started my business of, am I going to teach next year? I just thought that I was, and I would try to grow this business and see how good I could do. And it got so good so quick. And then I had that meeting with you. You helped me plan and strategize. Also, I say it that you pushed me a little bit, and you might say, oh, I don't push people. I just laid it
I
out on
do.
the table for you,
I do.
Kendra. But yeah, you were like, hey, what's the worst that could happen? And I'm like, I guess I go back to teaching if it doesn't work after a couple months, or I work at McDonald's for the same pay and I don't have to deal with kids that are
Yeah.
crazy. So anyways, yeah, I took a leap of faith, and it is so hard when that's all and you're comfortable just because it's always going to be there. But if
Yeah.
you want to grow, you want to do better, there's bigger things out there, then nothing comes without risk, right? So,
Yeah, and you have what now? Doubled, tripled that income?
oh, probably quadrupled at this point. Yeah.
And
So
this was
I
2 years
started
ago?
almost 2 years ago. My first client paid me in May of 24. So I'm coming up on sending her 2 year anniversary gift. Yeah. Last year was actually 2025 was my first full year in business, and I was a six-figure business owner. So that
Fuck
was
yeah to
pretty
that.
freaking cool.
Crushing. Yeah. So just to make it clear, when you were talking about like doubling your income, that was in the first couple months. That is not now. Now you've nearly quadrupled it because you're not a VA anymore. I've watched you do it for years now, and I can't even believe like it's not quite two. Like you're coming up on 2 years. So you're about to send I asked you to be here today because first we just need to talk, but we should keep it to one episode for now, I guess, because no one wants to hear like our 10-year story. um, but I've been talking about stakeholder experience for a while, which is like take the concept of client experience, which a lot of us are familiar with. And a lot of people in our space still don't actually get it and get it well. They don't use it as a strategy. You do it and you do it really well. So I wanted to talk about that. But the concept of stakeholder experience is like taking that, a lot of what we're going to talk about today, and reminding folks that when you run a business, it's not just your clients that form this opinion of you. And that opinion, that experience, whatever it is, your reputation, I like to call it, can become your greatest revenue engine because that's how then suddenly you're waking up to referrals And now, Kendra, you're not like, I need new clients. I need new clients. You're like, oof, where do I fit them in? Or do I refer them out? Right? Good problem to have. And it's how we over time actually get that client list of people we want to wake up and work with every day. Because in the beginning, it's also a bit of, oh my God, you want to pay me? Absolutely. Yes, I'll take it, which is fine. Like,
Yep.
I want to get people out of that. But in the beginning, make your money, girl. Convince yourself that you can leave your job or your husband or whatever it is you're trying to do, and make the money. And then eventually, then we can start to hone in on that a little bit. But client specifically, you're about to send someone to your gift. Are you still working with that person?
I am still working with my very first client. Yes.
Killer, killer. Okay, a question I've had repeatedly, like in my head. I think I've mentioned this to you, and another reason why I've never asked you to answer it though. It's just a thought that's been passing because we worked together a couple times in project based capacity. Like you worked with me, but also I've hired you. You come in, you sort and fix something that I want help with, but we don't have an ongoing retainer, and you still send me gifts at points. Thoughtful gifts. I call this being extra, right? And you're freaking extra. Because one of them, like I need to go get some. I gotta go get my mugs. I have them here, like in my business owner era. Like
I love it.
thoughtful gifts, okay? Because the other thing is when I was at Power Table Live recently and I put my workflow up on the screen and all the stuff I shared on that stage, Kendra, I didn't expect what people would come talk to me about the most was my client gifting piece. They're like, ooh, like, where are you sending gifts from? What are you doing? Where's it coming from? And I was like, it's not coming from me. I outsourced that. I had someone, Beth Wood and Co. like do all of this. So my stuff's like the same every time. And it's branded and it's cute, but you put thought into, like, that's one of the key pieces that blows my mind is you put thought into what you're actually sending people because that bobblehead back there, this is also from Kendra. And I have a mug. I'm not going to go get my mug. Look at this bobblehead. If you're not on YouTube watching this, but you're listening, I literally have a bobblehead of me in a graduation cap and gown because I graduated with a college degree in 2024. And Kendra sent me a cute little bobblehead. And she sent me a mug that says, like, badass college grad, and sent one to my husband, which says, like, badass husband. They're frozen right now so that we can pour cold drinks into them. So I'm not going to go get them. My point is that it's always been so freaking thoughtful and intentional. And every time I get something like that, I'm like, how? How do you have time to do it? How do you make it happen? Because that travel creator piece, when you talked about that, traveling with 5 kids, like you're leading a household that has 5 kids, you're working a business that has quadrupled your teacher income. So how do you find the time and space to be intentional and why?
Well, when I first started my business and I was doing things that I didn't realize at the time other people weren't doing, but it was those extra things like sending a Loom video to somebody ahead of having a discovery call. So they actually get a personalized video where you're like talking to them and you say their name and they know it's not just something that you recorded that you're sending everybody. I didn't realize it at the time, but that is something that's always been super important to me because the people I work with, look, I want to work with people that I like. I want to work with people that I enjoy working with. And yes, in the beginning, like you said, when you're first starting out, you don't have that confidence yet. And you're like, sure, if you'll pay me. But, I'm past that and I want to work with people that know me, get to know my family. And that's what type of business I want to run. So, not just for me, but I show that to my clients too. Like, hey, I care about you. I care about your family. I care about things that are going on with you. And so, not even just clients, like you said, stakeholders, like people, like you and I, we don't work together right now, but you are very much a part of my business and my community, I guess I would say. So, doing the little extra things is just something that is really true to like who I am in my business, I feel like whenever I first started my business, I also share this with people a lot. Like I didn't know when I became a virtual assistant that I would even want to keep doing it. I knew I was going to be really freaking good at it. I knew I could figure out what I didn't know because I'm very resourceful, but I didn't know if that little like servant's piece of my heart would be filled. And I always tell people the story like the very first time one of my clients sold this package that I worked on her with and did all this stuff for, and she told me she sold it. I was like, hell yeah. Like I helped her with that too. And so I was like, I'm helping people that are doing good in the world. I'm just serving in a different capacity. So like that part of me is filled. And it's just part of me that loves, gifting and doing special things for people so that they feel seen and heard and recognized. I do that in my business. And so it started out with Loom videos, but then very quickly became personalized notes and client gifts. Like I had a client one time tell me that when I sent them, it was their business anniversary. I sent them a business anniversary gift. I think it might have been some personalized Oreos or something like that with their little logo on it,
Yeah.
something crazy like that. They were like, this is the first time that we've ever really felt seen. Like, we haven't ever had a team member to like share this with us and like make us recognize, like, this is our business anniversary. But I picked up on that and I stored it, and I wanted to remember that because that's something that's very important and special and should be celebrated. So, part of it's just who I am, but also the time piece, like, how do I have time to do that? That kind of goes back to another reason why my Instagram back in December, I decided to start sharing about the family travel stuff. I was looking at, hey, where am I spending my time? Am I doing the things I want to be doing, when I'm not in client work? And while I did love sharing on Instagram about being an online business manager and things like that, I felt that that was better for LinkedIn and Instagram. I really had only been sharing a little bit here and there about family stuff, like, tips to help people on their family trips and cool activities I've done with my kids that are free that other people could do. And I was like, I can bring that into my business now. Why not? Like, let's just freaking do it. So I started sharing about it, and it's definitely growing and some cool things are happening there. But I feel like the time piece, like where I want to spend my time, I fixed that. Well, another piece is, how do I have time to find these client gifts and do this stuff? Well, instead of sitting on Instagram and creating a post about being an online business manager, which I love, but it takes me a little bit of time and I don't really love everything that I'm putting out there. Instead of doing that, now I'm creating, like, in a couple minutes, a reel about my family that I love sharing and I know people are sharing with others. And then I'm spending that other extra time. It might take me an hour to research a client gift. And to me, that is time well spent. Like, that, I'm not doing it just for feedback or recognition, but like when I'm putting that time back into my business instead of working on Instagram posts, that to me felt better and feels good. And so, just adjusting my time is one of the things that I've done a little bit more here recently than at the beginning of my business. But I did always find the time to do that because I think it's super important. It's just like doing your taxes to me. Like, it's got to be done, because if I'm not doing it, then that's not my business and not who I am.
Yeah, and it's smart too. So like you never once said like I did this for this specific trade-off. You mentioned that like it is to an extent like smart because then people feel cared for, and when they feel cared for, like you're remembered. But the stuff I just showed, like that bobblehead is always back here, right? So anytime someone like sees it or I talk about it, and they say it's the coolest thing ever, I'm like, oh yeah, it's from Kendra. So like it's smart because you get it's that kind of stuff like lasts. It sticks out not only to the person you send it to, and they feel loved and cared for. And I've said to people, I'm like, when you are remembered, you get referred because you can't get referred if you're
Yeah.
not remembered. So every little thing, even though it's like from a kindness, even though it's from you to make them feel good, it's still smart business because when you're remembered by them, you get referred, but also now they have these pieces around that are meaningful to them that start conversations, and you're always going to be in that conversation.
Well,
So,
and
like,
I tell people too, like, if there's something that is special, something that's going on in your client's life or a friend in this space or whatever, like, you don't have to have a ton of money to send them something that's meaningful. Like, even just a handwritten note is way better than a lot of people are doing. Some people are just sending emails. But I'm talking, like, I've sent some gifts that are like $5 that people are still talking about years later. Like, one of my clients was running in this big event and she had tattooed on her arm this saying. And so I was like, hey, she just got this new tattoo that's really special to her. I've heard her talk about it in her reel. I had it put on a little, I don't even know what you call it, but it's like a tag that you can put in your shoestrings and it goes,
what?
yeah. And so
Yeah.
she put it in her shoes that she runs in. Like, it was only a
Oh
few bucks.
gosh.
But
Yeah.
if there's something that's going
Thoughtful.
on and you can Google enough, like, you can find it, because hello, there's small businesses everywhere that make everything.
Exactly. And then you're supporting the ecosystem. You were talking about that servant's heart and the impact. And one of the ways I've started to describe, like, like, or think too bigger, is that the impact I'm having isn't only on the people that I directly work with and serve and pay, right? The impact on their lives is so great because we're not just touching business, like we're touching life. They're becoming like a better version of themselves, or a true version of themselves, right? But now they can be better for their families and their businesses support other businesses or consumers typically. And most of us are like impact focused or driven. So we're doing it for some better purpose, some service or something like that. And so indirectly, I'm also making my impact is way bigger, right? And that's part of what you're describing. But I want to hone in on something I wrote and circled that you just talked right over right there when you mentioned the business anniversary, where like one of your clients, when you just noticed it was their business anniversary and you sent them a little something and they're like, oh my God, no one's ever done this. And also, yeah, this is important and impactful. Like, look at us. You said that you stored it. Where'd you store it?
So the way I store things is I use Asana as a task management system, but I have a task that every month pops up to remind me about checking a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet's linked there. It's just one tab. Like, I don't even put a bunch of tabs with a bunch of different clients. It's literally one tab. Every client I've ever had or every person that like I've interacted with that I'm going to send something to is on there. And anytime I send them something, I put it on that, and I make sure every month that I'm reminded to go in there and add anything that I've sent. So, this client that's coming up on her 2-year business anniversary, she probably has a list of like 20 things on there that is all the way from me just sending her a card, to sending her gifts and different things like that. So I keep track with it that way. But whenever I notice something, like whether I'm on Instagram or on LinkedIn or I'm on a call with them and they say something, then I go and I write it down there because I don't want to forget, like, hey, that's something that's really important to them. Like, one of my clients, she was just on her first ever TEDx and she tried to do a TED talk for 10 years. And so her talk was actually called Thought Blooms, and I found on Etsy, which, by the way, for everybody listening, if you've never been on Etsy, it's ETSY. That is where I probably get like 90% of my things, because those are small businesses that create very personalized gifts. Just by searching on there, I can find so much cool stuff. But it was like $12. I sent her this gift that was a little vase, and it had flowers made out of pieces of her book. So it was like Thought Blooms, and it had the book, and it, like, who would have even thought to create something like that? But because I searched for long enough and I took that time, I found it. I didn't come up with the idea. I just was able to find it by spending that extra time. So, instead of going and just buying a gift card and sending it to them, not knocking that if people do that, but taking the
Yeah.
extra time, $12. Hey, I saved money because a gift card probably would have been like 25, right? But it was also so freaking personal for her.
Yeah. Intentional, sweet, kind, thoughtful, like, and then you'll be remembered because they're going to receive several gift cards probably, especially when they're showing, like, congratulations to your client, by the way, for speaking on TEDx. That's huge. But like, it, it's not to say, I mean, I still remember people that sent me gift cards, even lately. People guessing on my podcast, like, send me something and say thank you, like a card, a virtual card. And I'm like, oh my God, that was not what we were doing here, but thank you so much. Like, the thought is so kind because they're being like, hey, Steph, talk to me for 30 minutes. She gave me access to her audience and that kind of stuff. But still, like, if someone receives 15 of those this year, it might not be memorable, but I'm never going to forget my bobblehead over here staring at me. That's for sure.
Okay, well,
I asked,
I just thought of this. I gotta tell you this too. So there's this client that I worked with a couple times that I'm not working with now, but obviously someone like that's been in my space and I care very much for and stuff. And so she got this award not too long ago and then did this really big event. And so I actually had something sent to her that hasn't arrived yet, but just so happened she invited me on her podcast today too, so it can kind of double as a gift there. But like, I literally sent the gift before this podcast ever came about because I had seen things that were going on in your world, and I was like, I'm looking at your mastermind growing, like you're talking about having, this October event and like all of these things. I'm like, I want her to know that I see that and that that's freaking awesome and that I'm still here. I support her. Like, even though we're not a client relationship, right? And so I had something else delivered that you should get here in a little bit, but
Oh my gosh. You're the best. This is important though because it's like thoughtful and intentional the way that you go about it, but then you use your systems. That's the important part for everybody to hear because I said when we started this was like it's always shocked me when I receive something that's intentional to me, like the cup. In case people like you're not seeing it, it says in my business owner era, but it's fashioned after like Taylor Swift's new album, right? Because I was listening to that when it came out. Me and Leon have been jamming it, so like little tiny things that add up. But when I get that stuff, when I'm over here like gifting and I'm all proud of adding that touch of extra and talking about how it's strategic for your business, and now I've gone on stage and told people that, I'm still outsourcing the intentional part of it because of time and energy and capacity and all of that. And I watch you, Kendra, for years take the time to do it. And when I ask how, like systems are absolutely a way that enable you to do that because another thing I think I've always valued about you and that we share is like we're not afraid to show up and say the thing or show the thing if it's different than what's hot right now. And what I mean for you with that, and why I constantly had this question when I receive something from you, and I'm like, how does she find time to do this? Because I know now that we've actually connected and we're friends offline, I know what family life is like to an extent, what you let me see. I know, like, first off, just 5 kids, we could only say that, but it doesn't stop there because the family dynamics and everything, there's so much all the time. And I saw you from the start of your business when you were posting like your stories every day on Instagram, when you were marketing over there, like working at like 3:43 a.m. and 4 a.m. And most people would be mortified. And people probably were like, oh, I'm not recreating that hustle culture, or like Kendra's not my girl because of that. But to a lot of people, it was just real. And you're like, no, this is when it fits into my life and my business and what I'm growing. But I knew I would see this and I'm like, she's up at 4 a.m. working, or that timestamp was 3:43, and she's serving 5, 10 clients and looking for new ones and joining boards and joining like all of the stuff that you're doing and taking care of kids and getting them to games and sports and fostering these relationships. And it's just like, how in the world? So you see it, you pause to pay attention, you add it to Asana to your spreadsheet, and that's how. Just a bad ass kudos to you. Like, I think you already know the power in what you do, but a moment for that because so many people miss it. And it's like it can go beyond just the client, as in their family, right? And their kids and what they have and their business accolades. So it's another one. Like, people tell me when their kid is due, I'm going to go add that. And now I know when their kid is due. And I don't care if they're a client, if I see it on their Instagram story or when their kid had a birthday or something like that. And now, and it's not all the time, it's not even a perfect, flawless system, right? But if I see it, like, think about it, add it, say something, and that just makes people feel cared for. And in a world where everything we consume is marketing and it's someone wanting to make you feel like you have a gap so they can sell you something, feeling seen and doing it in a way that, like the handwritten note component you said, is huge. Like, you said something about emails in there too, and everyone's sending emails. Every QR code I scanned last week when I was at an event, now they're sending me their email flow. You know what I mean? Am I going to have time to open them all? You're falling into the mix of everyone else. But I promise you, there's not 25 handwritten cards in my mailbox right now.
yeah.
Promise you that. So
Well,
it's
and
going to
like
stand
my
out.
yeah, my system hadn't been flawless, like you said. I took note of it and knew that yeah, hey, that's something I want to remember. I want to make sure that I let that client know like I see them, I hear them, like they feel loved when this event happens or whatever. But at first I was putting it in Asana and I was getting all these task reminders from each and every way and it wasn't working. So I updated my system. I was like, hey, let's try doing these reminders just on the first every month and then I'll have them there and then I can get to them when I can. But, so just trying something is better than nothing. And it may not be perfect at first, but the fact that you're trying and then you just do better as you go. And hey, at the end of the day, like all of my gifts haven't been slam dunks. Like, let's be real. Like, I've sent a couple that I'm like, I don't even really know if the client liked that because they didn't, say much. But it's the thought that counts, and I'm sure that that comes across no matter what. So, just yeah, taking that time to actually do something and let them feel seen is where it's at.
Yeah, and I like your point with the systems, like being a systems guru yourself, that it's not all at first, it's never one size fits all. But the key with a system, like anything else that's going to help you, is that if it's not good the first time, what it has to be personalized to you and what works for you. And I found this pretty early on, like being an executive assistant to like CEOs of tech founders and companies and stuff, because I know how I manage my inbox, but I know I get in there to manage your inbox. And if I try to pop in with colors and labels, and that's not how your brain will help you sort, it's going to fail. So it's really personalized to like you. And that's the baseline. We're talking inbox management, not even systems to manage like a full client experience, you know? But it's the same concept with your systems and how you use it. It has to support and make it easy for you. So if you find the opposite to be true, it doesn't mean you stop caring about the client experience and what you give them, because that's your strategic component. That is how you build a business and a reputation that carries you in rooms you're not in, right? So that has to remain a key part. But if the way that you're doing it, if that system's not working for you, then that's the part you continue to tweak and iterate until it does. Hence why I am outsourcing it to someone else. Like I have someone, when I say this person onboarded to this program, they know what I want them to send, right? Which I love. And it's branded and it's cute and all that. But I also love the Etsy idea. So I am supporting a small business owner in that. But I just love your personalized component and like when you think about bringing it in house. So I think whatever works for you is remembering that like going the extra, being a bit extra, will serve you well beyond what you're doing right now. And that part should be non-negotiable. What is negotiable is how and how much time using your system, so you're not spending that much time, or remembering it if you are, because you said like an hour that you had spent on it. Some people will hear that and be like, whoa, wowza, I can't spend an hour on that. Well, you can have someone else research it for you. If you have a team member, you can have someone do that for you. VA, OBM. I'm sitting with one of the best in the business right now, virtually. So they can do it for you. Or remember that your ROI is still a part of that. So like you said, some of those gifts were like $6, $12. The really thoughtful one that goes on the shoestring, holy smokes. Versus you probably been okay, like every box I send is like $60. You know what I mean? So the hour, the ROI, the money, the investment was in your time, and yes, you're worth an hourly rate. But what is the trade-off on the other side if you just send like a nice gifted branding box, you know? So let it fit your vibe, let it fit your brand, let it fit your values and what you stand for. And it's non-negotiable to do it, I think, is one of my key messages. And then just how you go about it is the part that can be negotiable, so that you can keep up with it. Because if your systems become a barrier to you doing it, you're not going to do it. And that is the problem for sure.
Yeah, and you can start anytime, like totally. Like I'll be completely honest here. The first time I had a coffee chat with somebody, I got off of the coffee chat and I was just sitting like, what just happened? Like, I think maybe they were trying to sell me something, but they also like wanted me to tell them something. And I was like, I was completely like, didn't get how
What's
this worked,
happening?
right? Because I was
Yeah,
new
yeah,
and
yeah,
nobody taught me in my course, like when somebody wants a coffee chat, what that even means. I don't even drink coffee.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, like, so what if, you've had these past clients or, oh, you should have sent a person a gift for that. Like, just start now. Like, don't
yeah.
worry about the past. And so what if you've lost some opportunities? Start now.
Yeah, and if you need ideas, we just gave you some. Like, I'll tell you now that they should have received them or be receiving them. One thing I just did, actually, I got the last one here because one was missing. And this is even funny because, 5 of my mastermind members went to the event last week, or went to Power Table Live, and they got these books there. And I'm like, okay, so they now have a double, but I'm like a pay it forward. So send that. One of them is signed, personalized copy to them from the author, that I sent them as just like a little extra thank you. And so there's a couple reasons why I did it this way. One, the author of this book, I was looking for scissors because it's going to be really loud. I'm just going to open this first because it's going to be loud in this, if I even can. And then we'll shut
I
up
feel
and get
like
off
we
here
should all
eventually.
cheer here. Go, Steph.
Yay, she opened it. Okay, so Seasons of a Soulpreneur by Stephanie Lee Ross. Fun fact, we have the same first name, middle name, even though it's spelled differently, and we have the same initials. Anyway, so Steph came inside of my mastermind and led a workshop recently. I have guest masterminds, guests in my work. Oh my God. I've guests lead workshops inside my mastermind once a month. And she led one recently. And she also has a book. I've known Steph just like in the online space for a couple months now. And I was like, hey, I have not only read your book, but like I like to send gifts. We're coming up on 6 months for the first people that join my mastermind and 3 months for new members. And I want to order copies of your books for all of them and send them to them, because she's a small business, because that is feeding our ecosystem here online. So I paid her money. Then she personalized it and wrote nice little notes, right? So it's like signed by the author, a little bump to them. And like I said, now some of them are going to have double the book because they didn't know I sent them like 2 days before I went to this event. So they probably landed at the event, some of them, and don't even know it's at home waiting. And maybe they grabbed a copy, but now they can pass it on. And so her ecosystem can kind of keep making its way into the world. So it doesn't have to be hard to be thoughtful. And if you can't find the time or energy to be thoughtful, then you can outsource it. And I highly suggest you do, because it's going to serve your business like really, really well. And Kendra, you don't just do clients. Like we've talked a lot about clients, but one thing that you've done really well is what I would say is past clients. So a lot of people forget that like we're out here chasing new clients and chasing new clients, and doing all of this and taking care of our current clients. And we're like, oh, of the sweat of our brow, we made it, slid into Friday, and we actually sent a gift this week. But it's not just your like your current clients that can feed your ecosystem, that can send you referrals and take care of you. It's also your past clients, which is kind of what it's the case with me. Probably weird to say that because like we're also friends, but technically I'm your past client. And like you said, you notice these other things I'm doing and you're like, ooh, I want to make sure she knows that like she's on my mind. And now you've sent me something else. That's smart for your business because that's part of a re-engagement strategy. So you re-engage and you stay connected with these people, you stay top of mind. So the moment I need an OBM again, Kendra is like top of mind for me. Obviously, because I
Yeah,
already know what she
and
does, but
that's
it's
why I
smart.
keep the spreadsheet. Like the spreadsheet is again, it shows me anytime I've ever sent them something. And so, and well, I was about to say when Christmas gets here, let's be realistic. My task is actually set for October because that's when I like to start thinking about my Christmas gifts. But when October gets here and I look at that spreadsheet, a lot of times people will only send gifts to their like current clients. So maybe you had a client earlier in the year and they offboarded in April, but then, you look at your spreadsheet and you're like, "Oh wow, they were a client this year and I really only sent them this one little thing or only sent them a note." Like I feel like that's a great time to remind them of you and that you care and that you appreciate that you were able to support them in their business. And so it's not always just the current clients like you just said. So that's important to me too, is that, I really look at that whole sheet, not every single month. I don't study it in depth, but especially when like the holidays are here and stuff. And I'm like, hey, this client didn't really get a gift that I feel like they should have because they were only with me for a short time or something. But, whatever the reason may be, and, you don't have to send all clients the same thing, but you can send a gift and possibly re-engage with them or get referrals and stuff too from it. So that's a side effect of you being a good person and like telling them thank you for letting them support you or you support them in their business basically.
Yes, heck yeah. And it carries you, like you just said, like a side effect. I like how you said that. You're like, here's a side effect. We think about like symptoms and stuff. Yeah, that's the kind that we want to be associated with. I want the side effect to be for me, for you, and everyone building true businesses like based on integrity and care and values, truly servicing other businesses, to not have to chase people all the time, right? To just have this ecosystem that's fed by them just doing what they're already doing really well. So we're showing up on podcast and guessing to get more exposure and share our expertise. We're showing up on social media. We're talking to clients. We're serving clients. We're doing all of these things. You're already doing them. A lot of people have told us for years to do them. So do it really well. Make it easier on them. Make it better for them. Make it memorable. And then you'll be surprised, I think, pleasantly so, that folks just start kind of showing up in your world, leaning into what you do, asking what you do. I know this happens a lot for you, like with coaching, that we kind of glossed over this because I really wanted to dig into some of this like superpower of yours that I've seen, like, but you have a lot of superpowers. Is that the way that you started showing up like early on, Kendra, and staying true to yourself consistently, even in a world that tells us all these lanes we should do and live in, like again, working at 4 a.m. and not hiding that because it doesn't fit into this, like, I work 3 hours a day box and it's easy and I grow a business on that. You've just been raw and real. you also started like a coaching leg of your business, right? I know OBM is like a huge passion of yours, and you're a rock star getting behind the scenes and really changing like the operational flow for businesses and business owners. But I know that like there are a lot of people in our space or starting to that want to start businesses, and maybe the way that they've done it or their interest in doing so hasn't served them, and you step in and offer like a one-to-one high impact coaching, right, without like the high price tag. Because that, to me, don't let me put words in your mouth, but this is for anyone like starting or growing a virtual assistant business, because you want it to be accessible to them. Because if they haven't started it and they haven't made quadruple their income yet, right, we're really running around on this like hope, dream, or need is what I call it. Like a lot of these folks, it was the case for us. And why I do like a large portion of what I do now is we started for some need. You wanted extra income, you know, you didn't know it was going to be a business. I full stop quit my 9 to 5 and started my business because I was miserable. I wanted to make my own money and I just wanted to not be miserable. Some people start it to be with their kids more, or to have freedom and flexibility. And there is a world in which those people are cannibalized by marketing and shoved into like spaces that they don't need, and they might learn a little something, but they're never actually starting from a place of conviction of what they like want to come out of all of this. And I think that you saw some of that too, and now you offer coaching that you keep accessible to these people, even though your expertise could garner like a really high ticket coaching, and you could do all this fancy stuff with helping people with their systems and operationalizing. You have kept it accessible to people that just really want to do some version of what you're doing. So I'd love it if you just tell me a little bit about that, because we haven't talked about it in a while.
Yeah, there was a need. People were, like you said, I was sharing what I was doing, what the results were, and people were like, wow, how are you doing this? Or can we hop on a call? And, I always tell people, even to this day, like, I will hop on the call with anybody. If you have questions, if you just, want to pick my brain, whatever, I'm happy to do that because, again, I have a really big servant's heart. I love serving and helping people. But people kept coming to me like they wanted support in their business, but they couldn't pay for higher ticket coaching offers, even though there were maybe some good people that they found that they really wanted to work with. But they had like this gap between the course that they took and then the support that they still needed to get to where I was. And I was like, you know what? We can come up with something. And so what started out as like, hey, we'll do like a 30 or 60-minute call, tell me what you need help with, and I can tell you probably what time frame would be best. But again, it's very high value, but it's not high ticket, so it comes with the acknowledgement that I'm not going to send you like a full project scope and things. Like, yeah, if we're talking and I realize there's some email templates I have that you might could use, I'll forward those to you, but you're not going to get them in this pretty package with a bow and all of that
Yeah.
extra. But that keeps me accessible to them and able to help them and meet them where they're at and still be that, like I said, the middle person kind of between I've started a business, but I still need help. Like someone I'm working with right now, she's not really organized, but she started her business, but she knows to get to the next level, she needs things to be a little more organized. So I'm working with her on that. And then, eventually she won't need my help anymore. Or maybe she works with me for just a little bit and then maybe a year down the road she wants help with something else. But I'm that middle person that people can afford that are just starting out or don't have the revenue yet to like afford the high ticket coaching, but want to pick my brain and get some help on systems, on organization, on how to find clients, on basically all the things I did that built my business and got me to where I am.
Yeah, killer. And like, I remain obsessed that you keep it accessible or work on a way to do that. So the only thing is that also, again, controversial, but staying true to yourself, like controversial in the space, right? But staying true to yourself is saying, like, I'll have a call with anyone. Like, I'll have a call with anyone. A lot of people will be like, oh, don't do that. But I will say that Kendra does work with and know me. So she's only going to give you the first one free. After that, there's a dollar sign attached, because we are growing businesses, and your expertise is something that absolutely deserves to be paid for. But I'm still obsessed that you continue to find ways. And do you know, I do this too, to an extent. A lot of what I do is more advanced stuff now, and the price tag shows that. But I do these beta rounds and stuff, and like give people early access with like lifetime smaller dollar signs, um, because of that, I call it my messy middle. Like you're not gonna show up and the portal's gonna be perfect. And here's this resource tab with that bow. It's like you get to come watch me grow in real time and see that and get that access. And then like it'll be big and cute and shiny one day. You know what I mean? And you'll still be here for that. So I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. We got to get off here because I know you have all these things that we've talked about you need to actually go do. So we'll save the rest of these conversations for another time. For all your new friends listening, I know that you are on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And another thing that we kind of touched on, but I want to just reiterate, and you can too, is I'll drop both of those in the show notes, by the way, so you can go find Kendra and hang with her, talk to her about her coaching, talk to her about her OBM, pick her brain. She offered it, take her up on that because it's like unmatched in our space, truly, Kendra, from like an operational standpoint and how you approach the full business and business owner and just kind of make it all better through efficiencies. But if anyone's confused, your Instagram, like you said, your Instagram is very travel content creator. Because I mean, honestly, I'll say the thing, people that are hiring OBMs at your level, they're not consuming content on Instagram anyways. So it wasn't smart for you to continue to like spin your wheels over there. So you've just segmented out this whole personal brand that is Kendra Harris. So you'll still have the conversations on Instagram, I'm sure. But if anyone is like dying to see the more operational component, LinkedIn would be a great place to like integrate and get to know Kendra there. Either way, though, I know that you're active in the DMs on both of them, and I know that it's you, so people can come find you there. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we wrap it up?
It is totally me. And yeah, if anybody wants a call, I'm happy to send the link and chat, whether it's how did you do this or what does this really look like? Yes, happy to have one call. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, and if you want any help with coaching, like all of my stuff, like I said, is very accessible to people that are just starting out. So, while I probably could charge $200 or $300 for a call, it's much less than that. And I plan on keeping it that way so that I can continue supporting people. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for having me on, Steph.
Yes, thanks for hanging anytime. And I'll look forward to the next time we chat here, but also in person.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, let me. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Rooted and Relentless. If it made you laugh, not alone, or grab that cute little notebook of yours and scribble something down, please hit me with the SSR, subscribe, share, and review, as in leave a review. Thanks for hanging. Bye.